when a person sees the opposite sex and the natural tendency towards bonding takes over. That was supposed to be the animal urge towards evolution. But that at the higher level of human being, there are judgments that come, that are higher considerations that make a man say, no, I am more than just the sex, the urge for reproduction, the evolutionary urge for recreation. There will now have to be bonding, attachment, so that we can promote a lifelong living. Because indeed, it says that part of the evolutionary need, especially for man and woman must be together, not only to bond and to mate, but also for the offspring to have a home, to have a place where they will be nurtured. When a man then puts all of that in consideration, he decides whether he wants to attach to this from some of the things that he's been conditioned in his brain, childhood experiences, home experiences, religious experiences, sociological experiences, that has been conditioned to say this is what an ideal home will be like. So in this next series, talking about love from the point of view of neuroscientists, I am a neurosurgeon. I've studied the workings of the brain in a surgical way, but I've also, some of my studies take me to the realm of neurochemistry in a way. And I'm a neurochemist. There are neurochemists that work more specifically in these areas and pinpoint some of these things I'm talking about, neuropsychologists, neurosociologists, or anything like that. So in this series, talking about love, we want to address this subtopic of how people get attached so fast now. How people get attached so fast. Simply speaking, people get attached so fast because the part of the brain that promotes love is that part of the brain that promotes man's reward system, that makes a man choose pleasure over pain. So when a man thinks he has seen something that will give him intense pleasure, naturally, it goes without saying that he will feel bonded fast. In fact, love has been, in that sense, has been described as a rush of emotion, a rush of passion that is akin, that is similar to addiction. It's the exact same way that when a man just takes a shot of whatever drug he's addicted to, he gets that overwhelming sense of pleasure. So when a man thinks he has seen the object that will give him that kind of pleasure, obviously he will get attached so fast. The only point is, okay, attachment first, but bonding. How does that happen? How does that translate to bonding? It's one thing to see a person and get so attached and feel that passion to be with the person for that moment, but how does that get sustained? That will take us back to working out the neurochemistry of love that we have alluded to in our introductory part. But to reiterate now and say, where in the brain, there are centers of the brain that are switching things off and switching the opposite emotion off for a particular thing to happen, or modulating, making one part to be high, the rest to be a little low. So in the brain for love, the parts that are known to be pro reward, pro go for it, they go for it, the pro do it, are some of the things the areas I've talked about before: the ventral tegmental area in the base of the brain, hippocampus, the limbic system, the olfactory system of the brain, the smelling part of the brain, where some of the emotions, some of the human sensations get all brought together, coupled together to promote doing the thing. Whereas, and there are some chemicals that also work towards that. They also produce the intense sense of the reward you get, the feel-good sense that make you go for it. Dopamine, oxytocin, vasopressin. Whereas there are other parts of the brain that are actually more of a tone things down place. Tone things down. George, be careful here. Those parts of the brain include the amygdala, a part of the brain in the base of the brain also called the amygdala. And at the higher level still, what we call prefrontal cortex, part of the cerebral hemisphere somewhere there in the front, that serves to give a man forces a man to make critical assessment of situations. Now, in the cerebral hemisphere, for instance, where a man's total personality is formed, sort of, a man's emotional bond, how it will happen, and the attachment style and the brain wiring will have to do with what, like I said earlier, what he has been doing with his life before, what kind of things, experience, sociological experiences, and if we must add, religious experiences the man has had. Has he been irreligious? Does he not care for anything? Is he the type that just goes for it? Let's eat today, tomorrow we die. He just wants to have pleasure. He just wants to have fun. Well, that person obviously will attach or bond in a particular way compared to the other person who is thinking, whatever I do today, there's eternity ahead of me. There is God. So a man's social religious background have allowed some things to be wired into his own emotional take on situations in life. When a new situation then gets presented to him, of course, they will influence what he's doing. They will make him, they will be the judgment with which he will decide what to. So emotional bond forms. Because at the time a person is pushing for love, pushing for attachment to somebody, there's a part of the brain, amygdala, for instance, that's actually the part that generates fears, gives you a sense of fear, anxiety about situation, warning you of the danger signals. That's part of the brain. Is when some people have it too much, that they are too fearful. When most function of human beings, they are good, even if they appear to be negative. They are subsiding a function. They are toning something down. When a man has it too much, then it becomes problematic. Then he's not able to enjoy life. The part that is for good, that is for pleasure, when they are good, of course, the pleasure is good. But when they are too much, that's when a man gets himself wrecked. Enjoying sex too much, he goes into trouble. Enjoying food too much, he goes into trouble. Okay. So they are toning things. The amygdala is that part of the brain. And then the prefrontal cortex that I say, that's the overarching man, the center, the central area of the brain where the judgment is formed. Critical reasoning is made. This person you want to be associated with now, your previous experiences, what you've been taught, is this one going to be okay or not? If it's religious, is this in tune with your religious belief or not? Bonding will come depending on what a man judges to be appropriate for that situation. In fact, it's been known that actually, in a way of speaking, that most times people don't usually fall in love with their contemporaries with whom they grow in the same community. That just shows that, unlike what loving at first sight and all of that would suggest, that love just doesn't rush at you. There are things that come to work on you to make you decide for or against. You use your past experience, you use what you know about a situation to decide is this good or not. Like we said, when that part of the brain, amygdala, that induces fears, that works on fears, that promotes fear, promotes anxiety, that promotes withdrawal, that promotes being sensitive. If that part of the brain has been wired in a community to know, for a man, for instance, all the girls, to know their strong points and low points, and to have concluded that they are of a sort, all of those girls in that community, they are of a sort that he thinks they have a general hard instinct, hard way of behaving, group behavior that, generally speaking, they don't make for what he considered a good woman. As he sometimes say, I don't want to marry from a particular tribe. I don't want to marry from a particular section of town. I don't want to marry from a particular section of the country. Whatever it is has colored your opinion about those ones before. They are wired in the brain already. And so there's a sense in which when a person from that system where you have already decided you're not going to have anything to do shows up, of course, you're not going to have anything to do with, you're not likely to suddenly become infatuated with them, right? Whereas the opposite is true. If you have allowed yourself to believe there is a particular group that are super women, super people, something about them makes for good relationship, they are good women, they are beautiful, whatever your definition of beauty is. Again, we can digress on that too and say, but what people also consider beauty is also influenced by other things. I think that's Shakespearean saying. Beauty is the eye of the beholder. If you have believed that it's a woman that is plumpy, is what your definition of beauty is, of course, if you see a not well-fed person, no matter how Naomi Campbell like the person looks, you're not going to find that person attractive to you. Whereas you are the one that want people who are the slim body types for beauty. When you see a well-fed woman, you're not going to see beauty. Okay. Again, that's showing that a man so-called law of attraction bonding doesn't just happen like animals just do. There are so many things that have been complexly wired into a man's brain that are working on decision he's making now that appears to be spontaneous. That decision looks spontaneous, but no, but they are at the background of what he has done with his life before. So when a man has decided that he has now seen the picture of the person he has been dreaming about, and how does he come about dreaming? Some of the life experiences he had, some of the things they've taught him in the home, in the church, in the group he belonged, with the boys he played with the girls he played with. When he thinks he's seeing somebody that he comes across somebody that looks like fits that picture, okay, he will get attracted and get attracted fast. Of course, if he sees the opposite, he will turn away. Whereas that same opposite that he thinks is not it for him is that what another person would think is a picture of the person he's been looking for. So he get attracted to that one fast too. So let's not fool ourselves to think getting attracted fast is about the person. It's about what that human being that's been attracted to that person has formed as a picture of his life before. Again, there can be occasional exception. All of life rules have occasional exception. Somebody will just beat all the rules. But we work with the regular. We can't start working with the exception. So it's in that same sense, if a person is being in a situation where his childhood experience, his or her childhood experience, promotes loving relationships, caring, affection. Of course, when that person gets to a relationship with which he gets attached to somebody, that object of his great attachment, of fair affection, obviously would receive deep love from him, would receive affectionate love from the person. See, you can't quantify this because it's a gradation. At one extreme, it is low. At the other extreme, it's deep. It just depends on what a person has been reared with. If a person has been reared in a religious place where not much of affection is talked about, the thing that comes to mind quickly for me now is the olden days in the Bible. Abraham, Isaac's servant went to fetch a wife for him. The wife showed up. Isaac had never met the person before, but the moment he saw the woman come down from her horse, sighted her at a distance, it says in the book that he loved her deeply, and that fits the bill for him. After all, his dad had been hammering in his head that he must never do anything with the girls around of the tribe of the place where they are living. So already, as in his mind, he had already written those one off. So there's nothing anybody among those one did that attracted him. But remember, and then saw somebody come from another place, he got attached to that person. So the childhood experiences condition the brain. It's already a wired brain. As he sometimes says, a child that grew up in a home of conflict already is associating man-woman relationship with conflicts. Adult man-woman relationship. That person is already associated, and that's been wired in the brain. Wired in some of the circuitry and programmed in that part of the brain that take care of memory, the hippocampus. That part has stored the memory of how that when you see man-woman, you should be thinking, one man-woman relationship that's not about just go to for sex, just be animalistic, just satisfy your animal instinct, the pleasure-seeking part of your body, the one that seeks food when you are hungry, and when the food gets into him, feels good. Especially as I see some people when they take swallow and a sugary thing on top of it, they feel good about it. Or when you take your favorite meal, there's a way you feel rewarded, you feel good. it is, like we said earlier, that same reward system for food is the same way that works for love and for sex and for most things that people think they find pleasurable. So when a person does not want to have anything to do with bonding, attachment, relationship, but to just satisfy that inner urge of his, well, he doesn't care about bonding, he doesn't care who. He can sleep with dog, as they say in the vernacular. A woman being can sleep with dog. That one, just so long as that passion of his gets discharged, is okay. But when it comes to really bonding, lifelong relationship, long-lasting relationship, we like, not even yet lifelong, where that has to do with what a man judges to be good or not good, what his childhood experiences, what his lifelong life journey experiences have suggested to him to be the ideal thing, the way to be. It is that picture the person is working with that's making him then decide he will bond with this one, he will not bond with that one. But of course, at the particular level, how that works out also is how that a person, after the initial rush of the hormones and the electrical firing that make a person get attached, attracted to another sex, the opposite sex, when those ones temper down a little bit, because always things don't just stay high forever. When they stay high forever, they burn out. So after a while, they start toning down gradually. That's about the time the other parts of the nervous system, the brain, that serve critical judgment, the amygdala that promotes fear, anxiety, and all that, and the prefrontal cortex that do critical assessments, judgments. When those ones begin to come into play, a person may begin to allow himself. See the way I'm choosing my words? Because it doesn't come easily. They sometimes don't just the other one is so powerful, they ignore that it's there. Ministering to them, whispering to them at the back of my mind, have you checked this one? No, 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 I don't want to have that now. It spoiled my phone. But when they begin to get to the place where they allowing that to speak to them, then they can begin to take notice of things worth considering in that opposite gender. Whether he has some habits, whether she displays some tendencies that will not be good for deeper, long-lasting relationship. So that's how a person begins to use his childhood experience and the things that have been conditioned in his brain to decide, okay? For instance, if a person had been conditioned in the childhood in their home to not marry from a particular tribe, for the first time in life, he comes across somebody from that same tribe whom he thinks is terribly attractive, he cannot just see himself not having. Well, he can start, a relationship may start, even though the thing at the back of the mind may be telling him, but they said it not for me. But I think I like this, I like him. After a while, when the initial passion begins to wane a bit, and the other critical part of the brain begins to also take over, he may begin to then see things for which maybe the judgment of those who say to not marry from that tribe was correct, because many times it's just prejudice, sentiment that make people say those kinds. But sometimes they are based on facts. That's some things about that tribe in particular that truly, when you open your eyes, you will see, and you see, then you know that truly it makes for danger. So, but if the initial passion makes a man to not see it, no, that happens to everybody. It's the animal urge in all of us. The search for pleasure and all that. But when that begins to turn, you don't enjoy a meal and enjoy it. After a while, you get fed up a bit, right? Things get toned up. So the same thing. If at the beginning you are feeling so good, after a while, if you then allow your brain condition to begin to dictate to you, then you may be able to see things that your forebears have seen, and then you may be able to then make good judgment how to quickly cut that bond, or to decide whether rightly or wrongly that no, they don't see matter. You think you have enough in this person that gives you the reward you seek, and you will continue. So that's why it is that childhood conditioning and all that make a person attached fast or slowly. And certainly there's attachment styles. Again, I guess I've alluded to some of them. Some attach easily and deeply and feel secure. Some, again, those are people who are maybe more trusting, less critical. There are people like that who are just, we say they are plain-minded people. Plain mind. Doesn't think ill of anybody. It's a good person, thinks beauty about people. So those ones, so long as they get the reward they're looking, they think they get somebody who will give them the reward they are seeking, they will care less about some of the other signals. So they will attach deeply and feel secure. Whereas those who already have several negative thoughts that constitute baggage in their mind, rightly or wrongly. Sometimes the negative thoughts may be right. Again, we said before, may be correct. Of course, they will then be careful, super careful. They will not stick too much because they don't want to get bonds. They want to be easily to find it easy to withdraw quickly if they must. So those ones will attach only loosely, if we may say, and carefully, and it will take them a while to get the thing to work. So that's why it is that some will love. Quite apart from that, there's also the genetic constitution of people. No matter what we say now, that realm where you can still not explain how a man behaves. So, well, we take that as it is when it comes. But again, that would be an exception. The general way is that some have been so constituted that they are just there. Okay, their own temperament is such that they don't get excited. They don't go swooning, fainting for something. They just take life easy. They just go at their own pace. Nobody can rush them. Nobody can slow them down. They just go at their pace. So for those kind of people, of course, they will also now experience love in their own cool, calm, collected, careful way. Okay? So in a way of speaking then, we may get attached so fast or may get attached so slow, depending on what our previous life experiences, including our home background, including our own genetic constitution, dictate. And those have something to do with also parts of the brain that are performing the function of rushing us to pleasure, and also the part that's telling us to tone things down, to judge well, to be careful, to watch out, to be very, 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 very selective. So then we have come to the end of this section now, and we have touched on the way people get attached, things that get them attached, and how they attach fast or slow. We say attachment comes when a person sees the opposite sex and the natural tendency towards bonding takes over. That was supposed to be the animal urge towards evolution. But that at the higher level of human being, the higher animal that we are, there are judgments that come, that are higher considerations that make a man say, no, I am more than just the sex, the urge for reproduction, the evolutionary urge for recreation. So there will now have to be bonding, attachment, so that we can promote a lifelong living. Because indeed, it says that part of the evolutionary need, especially for man relationship, is that man and woman must be together, not only to bond and to mate, but also for the offspring to have a home, to have a place where they will be nurtured. So when a man then puts all of that in consideration, he decides whether he wants to attach to this from some of the things that he's been conditioned in his brain, childhood experiences, home experiences, religious experiences, sociological experiences, that has been conditioned to say this is what an ideal home would be like. But then the neurochemistry of it includes the fact that there are centers of the brain that promote you to go for the person, pleasure-seeking part of the brain, base of the brain, limbic system, ventral tegmental area. There are the other parts of the brain, the amygdala, that promotes fearfulness, carefulness, anxiety, and the prefrontal part of the brain that puts judgment on everything you're doing. To say, don't be too fearful now. There's no more problem here now. Be fearful, be careful. So that modulates things. And there are hormones, chemicals that also get used. They also take part in all of those activities, telling one part to go up, another one to go down. Those are the feel-good hormones, the dopamine, the oxytocin, the vasopressin. In fact, oxytocin and vasopressin have been known to be the same hormones.
Travel beyond limits. Nothing required from you except your bags. From Nigeria to zero travel limits, DigiFly Beyond Limits.
Which foster attachment between mother and child, and also help in producing milk that the child feeds on. They're actually known to also be the ones that also help to foster bonding, emotional attachment in love affairs between man and woman. So these hormones come to play and help. Whereas the other hormone, and also another hormone, the serotonin, is the hormone that serves to make a person to be obsessively involved with somebody. It's the same hormone that some people have the circuitry disorder, what we call obsessive compulsive disorder. One good example that we use is a man wants to close the day in his house, has gone to the gate and shut the gate, locked it, wants to be sure that the gate is locked, so that marauders cannot come in, miscreants cannot come into their home at night. He has locked the gate. He goes to bed. 5 minutes later, he's wondering, did I close the gate at all? Did I? Did I not? Okay, I'm not sure I did. He comes out of the house. He goes to the gate. He finds the part. Oh, part is locked. Oh, okay, locked. Oh, I closed it. Oh, okay. So he goes to bed. 15 minutes later, am I sure? Did I really check that gate? Am I sure it was locked? When I checked, I know I went there, but did I find it locked or not? I'm not sure. He goes back. So on and on and on like that. Well, the first time is a good one. The first time he went when he was not sure. But second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time, sixth time. Well, that's something else now. That's obsessive compulsive disorder. He must go. He cannot find himself not going. He just has to go. It's been found that hormone, the serotonin hormone, the hormone so-called serotonin, is one that is found to be low in people who have that kind of condition. And in a state of love, actually that hormone is also low, about the level of those who have that condition. Because a person at this time must be careful, must be passionate about the new lover he has made. He will think about that person, she will think about that person day in, day out. He will read messages. If he's just written today in the morning, he's not sure, have I called him today? Have I not called him? He called in the morning, he must call in the afternoon, he must call in the evening, he must. Okay, so that hormone is there in the body. So these things are the things that are interplaying. One thing is low, one thing is high. So that the person gets emotionally bonded. He's thinking of all the experiences, some of the good things he had, some of the good things she had when they were together. The memories in the hippocampal region of the brain has been recorded there. So he's wanting to repeat that. So it's always going back and forth. So these are the things that play to foster attachment and bonding in relationships. So now do be honest with us. I hope I've made some sense of these love and bonding and attachment. And I've shown how it is that some people's attachment is deep, some is weak. So be honest with us now, my listeners. Do you attach fast or you attach slowly? And we're not saying if you attach fast, it means you are doing it right or wrong. Or if you attach slowly, you are doing it right or wrong. We're just saying, what's your own way of kind of attachment? Is it fast? Is it slow? Because each can be good, just depending on the circumstances that surround them. Because all behaviors make sense with enough explanation. Please drop your comments in the chat box, in the comment section, and share this video with as many people as you think may benefit from it. Thank you so much.